Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Ohayo gozaimasu, konnichiwa, konbanwa, wherever you are around the world. Thank you for joining, whether you're here live or whether you're watching this recording. This is an important conversation today. We have Masami Sato, who's a speaker, global leader, and she's going to be talking about a topic that probably we've all thought about. Certainly, we've all thought about having impact around the world, and in our community, and within our family, and within our circle. Those of us that have a circle that includes the world at times, we wonder how can we be better? How can we change this place that we live, this bigger, broader place, in a more positive way? And Masami Sato has thought a lot about that. She's going to be talking about how small actions create profound global change. She herself is a global triber. She has been around the world. She's been a successful serial entrepreneur, and she's wise to the ways of leadership that can create greater impact. And so we thought here at Global Chamber that we would provide her the stage to share some ideas of the journey of going small, why the power of small is important, and also not just for our own businesses, but why driving collective good can make real change, not just in our communities, but around the world. And it doesn't need to be some special person or a leader of a country or a leader of a region or even of a company. It just needs to be any of us. And so, Masami, thank you so much for your leadership. Thank you for taking the opportunity today to share with us some ideas and some stories and some things that hopefully make us think about this topic in different ways. I think what we'll do today is Masami will speak for about 25 or 30 minutes. There'll be time for Q&A, and then we'll wrap up at the top of the hour. Are you there?
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Today
And
you're in you normally live where? And today you're in New York, though.
yes, I'm in New York, and this year I regard this year for me as almost like a nomad year because I'm actually traveling a lot, and at the moment I'm in America, but in New York. But I arrived in America on the 15th of April, and then from there on, visited some amazing places and connecting with fantastic people here. Yeah, so it's an extraordinary time. Perhaps like there has never been a time like this in our lifetime. And whilst it feels, some of the things happening in the world seems to, feel very overwhelming, but this is also the time that brings so much potential to what we do. And I personally believe that in the power of businesses. And so today's topic, so if I can share my slide, this. Oops, let me just share again. Here we go. All right. So you are looking at kind of black background with the word power of small. So you may have wondered when you saw the event title and power of small, what does it mean? So today I'm going to go through this theme, going through some stories, and particularly sharing my story. But actually, as you listen to this presentation, you might also reflect on your story, your personal story of why you are here, what got you here, where you are going, and reflect on all your aspiration as well, and also in relation to what you are doing in your business. So the power of small, concept of power of small, if you look around our world, we all know we are part of this amazing place, our planet. But in the great scheme of things, right? Like, we look around and then we do actually feel like we are this tiny little dot. Just in case you can't see it, I just blow it up for you. So let's say this is your tiny little dot, and looking at the beauty and amazing place we are all part of, but undeniably we will feel powerless when we see certain distractions or environmental challenges, or so the world is full of big challenges. And so what we're going to do today is in this next half an hour or so, we are going to shift our perspective. And in order for us to shift our perspective and start seeing new opportunities and potential, what we can do is to develop a new lens. So for me, power of small is a very personal, it has a personal relevance because growing up in Japan, so I grew up in Japan and I left Japan about 30 years ago. I did feel I was very small, and the world outside was a huge world, and there was so much unknown. And because I was very shy and very quiet child, so even in my own community, I struggled to connect with the bigger world around me. But luckily, I had something special around me, which was that my grandparents had this small family business in Tokyo. So whenever I had a school holiday, I stayed with my grandparents and helped them run this tiny little business year after year. So during that time, I learned about how to run a business, how to build trust with the customers, and how to keep things in order, clean, and keep the business running. So I learned a lot from my grandparents, and I became very curious about how everything worked, in the world through that as well. And during that time, because this shop was in the kind of middle of Tokyo, so sometimes a foreigner will walk past, and at that time when I saw the people who looked very different, I used to rush into the back of the store saying "gaijin, gaijin," which means outsider in Japanese. So to me, what was happening was like it caused a lot of curiosity, but I didn't know what to do. So when I graduated from school, and because I had a lot of difficulty actually connecting and expressing myself, so I decided to do one thing, which was that I would actually go traveling around the world. And I spent next few years backpacking and meeting and connecting with people from around the world. So what happened was when I was in Japan and I could speak my own language, right? I didn't know how to express myself, but when I went to travel, I suddenly started to feel totally open because I was vulnerable. I didn't know anybody. I didn't speak the local languages. So I let go of this thinking that I had to say the right things. So when I let go, I started to discover the real joy of connecting. And wherever I went around the world, and I didn't have a lot of money. So during that time, I wasn't having a luxury trip, right? Like I was just, doing the things what local people do, and then traveling and experiencing things everywhere. So during that time, I really realized that even though we all looked different, we spoke different languages, we had so much in common. And wherever I went, there were always people who came to help me whenever I had a problem. So this is the time I started to really experience the feeling of being part of something bigger, and I enjoyed that so much. But at the same time, I also started to see different challenges that people faced. And for example, there were children who couldn't go to even school to complete their education, or there were people with physical disability fending for themselves and not having any help. And I was very lucky to grow up in Japan. My parents were not wealthy people, so we struggled quite a lot as well as a family. And we had, just one room to share among the entire family. We had a composting toilet. So my family didn't come from a wealthy background, but I never went totally hungry. And so during that time, when I was traveling, I started to see some enormous issue that I didn't know why those things were happening. So, for example, if we look at some bigger numbers like this, 785 million people, so more than 700 million people today lack access to clean water. And many of the women or children are working hours still to collect the water, which is not even clean. Or 2.3 billion people do not have access to adequate education, or 10 million hectares of forest are lost each year. So there's such a big, enormous problem in the world. But actually, those problems, whilst the things are improving because of the work that the businesses around the world are doing, but these problems are not solved as quickly as it should be in today's world. So when we look at these overwhelming numbers, sometimes we feel we are too small to make a difference. So then we feel powerless. But today, instead of feeling that way, I'm going to show you two sets of numbers that will start to give us different perspectives. So first of all, the white side shows you the global priorities, which means then if we can invest in some of the important issues in the world, we could actually help solve those issues. So the first one is the education. As I said earlier, so many children don't have access to even basic education. So if we could collectively invest $40 billion every year, in addition to what's already happening, then we could actually provide basic access to basic education to children who are actually currently not having the access to education. Second one, $114 billion is the amount of additional funding that we need to invest in giving access to clean water to people around the world, those 700 million people. And $70 billion is the amount of additional funding required to provide basic nutrition to all of the children who are malnourished today. So still big numbers. Still none of us in this group perhaps cannot fix all of these problems alone. But I'm going to show you different set of numbers today. Now, global industries. $84 billion is the size of the education industry in the world. And $1.2 trillion is the pharmaceutical industry, and $8.7 trillion is the food industry. So when we look at these numbers, and without kind of like over-analyzing this, just as a rough comparison, and then think about all of the businesses and different types of businesses, products and services around the world, including large businesses to small businesses to micro businesses, and what they are doing every day, we start to see that perhaps there is a ways to connect this activities that's happening, then if we all came together to invest a little bit more toward these important priorities, maybe people around the world will all can be uplifted to have access to basic necessities that gives them the chance to prosper. So when I started to shift my mindset from being overwhelmed or being like judgmental about companies or something that seems to be causing issue, or if we take away the judgment from here and just look at the opportunities and what this means, I started to see that perhaps what's missing wasn't our ability to make a real difference, but what's missing could be the meaningful connections to link our everyday actions and the things we enjoy with the meaningful opportunities to actually solve the important problems that we prioritize. So connections are profound because imagine everything that you do in the day-to-day, if those are not benefiting you, but it ended up benefiting somebody else and the global ecosystem, then these connections can create a profound impact. But another part of what makes these connections really special is that these connections are not just numbers or monetary value, but these connections are qualitative connections that we form in our lifetime that really transform who we are and how we live our lives. So perhaps like when you think about your life, I said at the beginning, this is like part of this session is sharing of my story, but I'd love you to think about some of those connections that really transformed your life and then helped to shift your perspectives. And because I can't see all of you here, I wish like I could see your faces here. But I believe that some of you have perhaps children, like or great friends or family members or mentors or those people who helped you become who you are. So if you could kind of like think about that and reflect on some special connections that brought you here, that would be great because I'm about to share one of those connections that totally transformed my life. So my connection happened more than 24 years ago when I became a mom. And I did say that when I was growing up, I used to spend my time with grandparents and helped their business. But there was another part to this story because in my own family with my parents who got married young and they didn't have the kind of like adequate education to easily climb the corporate ladder, my dad worked really hard and he never had time at home. And probably some of you, how hard Japanese people work. So I hardly ever saw my dad. And when he was at home, he seems to be always stressed and angry. And so I kind of grew up in having that insecurity, and I didn't feel I fit in a family or I fit in a school, or so that was part of the reason that took me to travel around the world. So until this moment, I really didn't really understand what it is like to be becoming a mom because I didn't want to. I didn't want to create another child who felt like me. So it wasn't my plan to, have children. But when I accidentally became a mom for the first time, everything transformed for me. I felt deeply connected with this little thing. And then I also started to really think about the children I met, street kids I met when I was backpacking. And I used to think I was too small to make a difference. So I moved on, like I got by and just enjoyed my time traveling around the world. But when I became a mom, and at that time I was living in New Zealand, I felt really compelled that I had to do something because whilst I was, vowing to give everything to my own daughter, and I promised that I will always do everything I can to make sure that my daughter will grow up being happy and healthy and have a great opportunity in life. But then I also started to think about other kids, and I thought, my daughter was lucky to be born in this family, but what about the other kids? So that was the time I actually decided to start a business, interestingly. So my first business looked like this because we didn't have a lot of money. And then I had a 3-month-old baby. So what we did was we bought this struggling little takeaway food bar in New Zealand, Christchurch. And then we moved in and started to run this business. So the business was up for sale for $1,000 because it was losing money. And then in a quick period of 6 months, we tripled the turnover of this business because so many truck drivers and factory workers enjoyed coming to see us, especially my daughter on my back, perhaps. And then I was sneakily like sneaking, in a piece of lettuce into the burgers to try to make the truck drivers a little bit healthier. And so we had a great time, and the business grew. So we bought another business in Christchurch, and we had two food businesses, and then eventually sold two of those businesses and moved to Australia to start our dream business, which was the kind of healthy eating food company that gives healthy eating options to busy working families. So that was what I did for about 5 years. And there was a profound moment of realization at that time. So this was our product then, about 20 years ago. And so we were selling gluten-free, organic, frozen meals, and distributing that through health food stores or independent supermarket. And we had about 150 stores in our customer base. So our business is starting with nothing, with a 3-month-old baby. And I had a second child as well, which is another long story. So I will tell you the story and adventure later on. But after all of the hard work, working 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, nonstop, for 5 years, no holiday, no vacation, nothing. But I was not willing to give up, no matter what happened. So we overcame all of the challenges, and we had more customers then. But this thought dawned on me at that time. And I paused for a moment and thought about why I started the business in the first place. And I thought, well, we started this business because we wanted to make a difference. We wanted to give our profits away to help build perhaps soup kitchen, to provide access to education and nutrition to street children in India, because I spend quite a lot of time traveling in India and some other Asian countries. And so I had a dream. But then after working 5 years and growing the business, we weren't doing anything because as a owner of SMEs, perhaps we don't have a lot of time. And we might not have make so much profit to establish our own foundation and build this building and give to thousands of people. Like we don't get there so quickly, or we might not get there. So I reflected on that. And I thought, what if? What if instead of trying to do something big one day in the future, if we did something small, but did it every day? And at that time, we decided that for every packet of meal, we will provide a meal to a child. And when we found out what it took to do so and found this very experienced NGO that was doing great work in India, then it was about 20 cents to provide a meal and help provide a meal so that the child get encouraged to come to a school and get a free meal so they can focus on the study and increase the chance of them completing the schooling. It's 20 cents. Then I thought, well, that, additional sticker and one additional ingredient can be 20 cents. So why not make this act of kindness and joy of giving as a part of our product that we sold every day? So buy one, give one concept was born, and then we called it B1G1. So that's why our organization is called B1G1. And when you saw the event information, you might have wondered, like, why is B1G1? But that's the origin story of where we came from. And when we started to do that, everything transformed because it was no longer about the company doing good, and showing off or anything, but it was about everyday action of our team members and customers resulting in the positive change in the world. And I was blown away by the importance of this idea. But at that time, I also started to see something. So I realized that instead of doing this alone, what if we made it easy for businesses of all types everywhere around the world to incorporate this act of small kindness into everyday business actions, transactions, and services, and what they do every day? Then we could perhaps create more joy in the business, but also create a better world together. So that was the start of B1G1. So we imagined, what if every time we enjoy a cup of coffee, somebody purchase cup of coffee, access to life-saving water is given to a child. Or every time somebody purchase a beautiful piece of dress that she loves, he enjoys, then a little girl gets access to education for one day. Or every time accountant does a tax filing, for the client, what if family received a goat so that they can have a sustainable income with the goat milk and, and uplifted the entire family? What if? So this was what we set out to do in 2007. So that's 18 years ago. And I, at that time, decided to sell my business because there were lots of other food companies, but there was nobody doing this initiative. So we sold the business and moved to Singapore and started the B1G1 as the global initiative that had the processes and systems to help businesses incorporate this micro act of kindness in their business. So I started my talk saying power of small. And in the journey of discovery, we had this profound message coming up again and again. When we visit the project that we work with, we have more than 450 projects today around the world. We realize this power of small and how small is powerful because to make small things happen, we don't need to wait. And also, when we bring the power of small together across so many people, so many companies, so many causes, profound things will happen. And there's this new definition because we used to think, power of small is the real important message, but there is another message behind this that's actually even more powerful, which is the power of all. So when we think about topic like sustainability, ESG, CSR, we know it's important to do, but it's actually much simpler than complex ESG strategy because the power of small and the power of all tells us that to create true sustainability and prosperity, we must uplift everyone. We can say environmental projects are the most important because of the climate change. Or we can say education is the most important because that will uplift people with hand up. And all the things are true. But what's actually profoundly important is that it's actually about uplifting everyone. If people don't have access to water, then they can't think about protecting the forest in their community, because they need to survive. So it's about uplifting everybody. So I talked about the water example a few times. It's really profound because, today to make clean water available and accessible to people, in B1G1, we have a project that only cost a few cents to provide access to safe clean water, life-changing clean water to someone in need for just a couple of cents. But when we do this, what unlocks is the income generating opportunity because a woman can save 2 hours from walking to collect the water, or children can go to school because they no longer have a diarrhea day after day, or we can prevent young babies dying because of the infection coming from polluted water. So this is kind of one part of uplifting lives and the world, and it's only cost a few cents too. And in B1G1, so this is just a quick demo of my B1G1 account. But when you go and then create an impact, working with high impact organizations around the world with very measurable small impacts, micro impacts, we could actually make so many changes happen around the world. And we are learning from our experience of what's happening, how like all these impacts interconnect to uplift and transform challenges around the world. And the last one that you see in the middle bottom of the screen, that one of my favorite, which is giving farmers beekeeping access to beekeeping business. More families having those box of beekeeping kit can create more business, like more income for themselves. But then more bees means more pollinations, which create more fruits for the community as well. So to explain what happened over the last 18 years and some of the businesses that are integrating these B1G1 impact, I just want to show you this quick video. Hopefully the sound plays as well to convey what it is to be working together, creating a better world. Oops, sorry. I have to go again.
Hello. At Slumbersack here in Germany, for every baby sleeping bag we sell to our customers around the world, we give to support the health and education of children in need.
Hi everybody, we're Ellis Knight International Recruitment in the UK, and for every placement and interview that we conduct, we give access to life-saving resources to people in need around the world.
Here at Green Super Camp Australia, we're really aware of the impact our young leaders will make in the future. And that's why we involve all the young people who come to camp in selecting B1G1 projects that they want to make a difference in the world.
At Beyond Impact, we make a difference with B1G1 in every event, every coaching call we facilitate, and every speech that we give. And one of our B1G1 goals is to rescue 1,000 kids from sex trafficking.
Hello from Oak Aquatic Swim School, Miami, Florida in the USA. We teach families to be safer around the water, and for every swimming lesson we teach, we give impacts to B1G1, and we're so grateful to have B1G1 in our lives.
So I hope you managed to catch all the sound and the message from around the world. Let me just go back. So B1G1 community. So this video was created a few years ago. So we have a latest impact number too. So then thousands of businesses that we worked with in the last 18 years have collectively already created 372 million impacts in the world. And these impacts could be, one tree planted, one brick given toward building schools, or one book being provided to a child, or one day of access to transformative, life-saving resources, or education, or access to health. And so we have a project in all of the 17 global goals as well. So that shows how even small to medium-sized businesses can come together to make a profound difference. And in the work of B1G1, especially in the beginning, we focused on working with smaller businesses because at that time, small businesses wanted to do something, more for the personal legacy point of view. And so even when we didn't have trend around ESG or sustainability or CSR 18 years ago, we were still able to connect with these business people and the leaders who believed in what we believed in, and they joined us and they started to actually create impact together. Many of these business people are still with us, and the swimming school example that you saw, I just visited their Miami swim school again, and they have expanded since our last visit. They have expanded their school, swim school, previously having 3 swim schools to now 5, and they've got bigger building now. And they have 150 team members that are so committed to making a difference. So when I spoke with the parents and then the kids and then the teachers being part of the swim school, I could just get the sense of how having that giving spirit in business transforms everything. Because it's no longer about people turning up for the job to try to get the better benefit or more pay. But it's about the people dedicated to bigger mission. So for small businesses, like the one I had as well, having a bigger mission and sense of purpose is really profoundly important today. And nowadays, we work with also bigger companies as well. So those businesses that are growing and want to still engage their teams and as well as have a great inspiring story to share with their customers, they are also seeing that having the sense of impact, mission, purpose, and the impacts bigger than themselves are profoundly important today. Now, so to demonstrate that actually everyday little things can lead to a great impact, I'm actually going to invite you to create an impact together with me. And you don't need to worry about, do I have to pay something? Because I will actually pay for you. So as a part of B1G1, and I'm also a member of this initiative, right? Like as well. So I do my own impacts, and whenever I have a really great Zoom call or have a lovely session to speak to the audience from around the world, I engage them in the acts of creating impacts with me, but these impacts are paid by me. So all you need to do is to choose the impact you want to create, and to do so, if you have a phone right now, then you could scan the QR code there, and then to pick the impact you want to create. And also, if you happen to be a business owner, and if you think that what we are doing is actually resonant for you, and you are interested to explore more and see how your business can also be part of the Business for Good movement, then you could simply indicate that you are interested to learn more, so that our team can reach out to you and have a chat as well, and listen to what you are doing and learn from that too. So anyway, and if Doug is happy to share the link, then there is also a link too. So but for now, if you could just snap a photo or click on the QR code on your phone, then you can let me know the impact you want to help create in our world. And these impacts will be automatically created through my B1G1 account. So moving on, I just wanted to get back to the concept of power of small, because we like to use metaphors in communicating the essence of why we do what we do by using this picture of bee. And in one of the projects you saw on my screen, you saw this beekeeping business as well. So it's interesting how everything is a little dot that play a part in the bigger ecosystem. But we use this metaphor of bees because we are fascinated by the role of businesses in this world. Today's world, there are lots of things happening, but businesses are the ones that exist to mobilize and enable our everyday life when we are not even thinking about it or talking about it. We wake up in the morning and go to the gym, or go to have our favorite cup of coffee, or we have a lunch with somebody and connect, or we go to watch a movie, or we read a book and be inspired and educate ourselves. We connect online, we have a Zoom call. So all these everyday actions are enabled by businesses, and the businesses reach everywhere around the world. Businesses don't discriminate. Businesses just go wherever opportunities are. So if our everyday actions can automatically result in something good that is not just about the direct benefit, what would that be like? And long time ago, we could say, we don't need a charity because the community, people in the community help each other, right? Or we could say we only give to the local charity. and things like that. And then supporting local charity and doing volunteering, all of those things matter so much. But today's world is truly global. Our everyday life benefits from so many efforts and contributions made by people around the world, or sacrifice made by people around the world today. So if we avoid this act of pollination and just extracted the nectar, which means maximize the profit, but do not give, and do not help in solving the issues that exist for the people around the world that are beyond our community, our world is not going to create the true sustainability. And now we are seeing this much faster today. You know, some of the things like a consequence of our actions are coming back to us faster. But in order for us to transform our destiny and the future of our next generations, we can really think about transforming our day-to-day actions and what happens everywhere around the world. And I truly believe that the small to medium-sized businesses have a huge, huge part to play in this. And so I hope that the power of story, small message resonated with you and your own story. When I was starting out my journey, I was judgmental about businesses. I thought the consumerism was source of challenges. And there was a time that I decided not to buy anything and moved to countryside and tried to create a self-sufficient life about 2 years in Japanese farms. But I realized through my journey, no, we cannot change our world by judgment. We can change our world by compassion, kindness, coming together, bring all our knowledge, technology, and ability together, and resources together, then anything can be overcome. So when I see these challenges, photos of challenges or pictures, I don't feel overwhelmed because I can see, and perhaps I hope you can see, that these are not just telling us bad things, but these are inviting us to be part of the solution. So today we have an opportunity to transform anything that we see into a smile and a positive future. So I hope that you enjoyed the idea of Power of Small, and I hope that you will think about your business and what's happening day to day, and find the power in the small things you could do today rather than one day, and then start joining in the dialogue to create a better world. So thank you so much for patiently listening to me. And I normally like to present this in the audience with all the faces I can see. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I'm very, very open to any of your questions or feedback. Back to you, Doug.
What for hopefully many of you or most of you, if you don't get your video going, that would be great. What kind of reactions do you have? I see Khalid in the room and Brian.
Oh, Brian, great to see you.
Do you remember?
We had a conversation, Doug, by the way.
Okay.
Could I
Sure.
jump in with one question, please?
Oh, please go ahead, Brian.
Just wondering, what do your support activities look like going forward in the United States? Because clearly, I'm sure you're trying to expand your platform, for towards more U.S. participation. Have you identified local causes? Because that could be an element that's very important to a lot of U.S. givers.
So we have, some US-based charities and causes as well. So, for example, US-registered organizations that are doing global work, as well as US-registered organizations that are doing local work too. But what we want to do is we want to continue to expand the project mix, and how we typically grow the organization, the list of projects that we have is support with our members. So participation participating businesses or causes often make referral because they know some good organizations that are doing good work. But obviously, like doing this micro act of kindness model, right? It's not like we are trying to have as many charities and have all of the charity listed, because that's actually difficult to do. To have the organizations that meet our criteria and can work on the project specific breakdown. And the financial measurement. So still, we always empower and encourage our community to say, if you know great organization doing great work, please spread the word. So we can actually have more projects everywhere around the world too. Thank you for the question, Brian. And it's great to see you.
Did you two actually meet in Orange?
Yes, we did. And because Brian, like some of you in this space might know Brian already, but Brian has a very deep connection with Japan. So we had a really great time talking about the Japanese businesses, and he has more connection with Japanese culture than me, actually, because I left a long time ago.
Well, you said you left 30 years ago, and he's 30 years experience with the Japanese.
Oh, we swapped.
And just for everybody's benefit, the Japanese government awarded 2 awards in the past 6 months to people outside Japan. One was Chef Nobu from the restaurant Nobu, and the other one was Brian Swords for his contributions to Japan and the community. And Brian, thank you for everything that you do. Did you have any additional thoughts or suggestions around things for Masami?
No, I mean, this is a brilliant project. To expand its footprint here in the U.S. would be ideal, I believe, because if we're talking about potential corporate participation, the U.S. is really the global sweet spot, I would think. But a lot of companies here, are very focused on tax benefits, which is going to be a bit of a difference between Japan, because I believe that Japan doesn't really offer too much in the way of tax benefits for philanthropic giving, or if they do, it's only a recent phenomena. Whereas in the U.S., this has been a long-standing, tradition, really, or part of the tax code. And companies are going to be very interested in drilling down into, concretely what sort of financial benefits can be gained, and then local giving is probably part of that, quite frankly.
Yeah. So Brian, thank you for the question. Francis, I will come to you next. So that question, so you didn't know this, Brian. Actually, B1G1 is a US registered charity, 501c3, and but the reason. I sound like I'm coming from another part of the world, which is kind of true, because I haven't been to America for a number of years recently, but from now on, I'm assuming that I will come more often. But B1G1 started in Singapore initially as a social enterprise. So we actually do have a social enterprise structure based in Singapore, but the foundation part where the whole giving is actually managed is done by the sister organization, which is a US 501c3. So any business is actually giving to any of the projects, not just the US local project, but anywhere around the world, actually they can gain tax benefits because the contributions and the grants are issued by the US charity B1G1 Giving.
Got it.
Yeah, and Francis, you have the hand up. So
yes, Sato-san, it's wonderful to see you. I think you and I are scheduled to talk tomorrow, but I really think that both from existing not-for-profit programs that could be part of your giving portfolio, but also I work with a lot of small entrepreneurial businesses. Many of them are ethnically owned, and they would love to be able to think about social giving, but they don't have a means, a process by which to do that. So I look forward to talking with you in introducing you to both potential businesses that might be interested in becoming a member, but also not-for-profits who might also be part of the program that funding can go to. So.
Oh, amazing, amazing. Thank you, Francis. I look forward to speaking with you too, because I really believe that what we can achieve when we actually tap into the kind of ripple effect of our businesses and our experiences, then what we can achieve is massive. We don't need to rely on big foundation, one wealthy person or, country, like, to fix everything. We actually, as entrepreneur, business owners, leaders in businesses, we could actually make so much good happen. And there were so many great organizations and NGOs, social impact organizations and NGOs that are actually amazing, doing amazing work. But many of these organizations might not have a marketing capacity, and so if we could actually bring more regular, not once off, but the regular contributions and support for growing and scaling the work that they are doing, there's so much can be achieved. And I genuinely believe that this will create more meaning and purpose as well as positive impact to the businesses as well. And the, team members who are seeking a greater sense of meaning in the work that they do every day. So I'm so looking forward to connecting with you. Anybody else in here who feels that this could be something, you might be interested, then please do reach out to me, because every connection can lead to potentially great things. And the work of B1G1 for the 18 years, we managed to do what we did because of the amazing people we connected with. So I'm so grateful, Doug, for you finding us and inviting us into this dialogue. Yeah, thank you, Francis.
Thank you, Francis. Khalid Munir, you're the new Global Chamber Orlando chapter head. You're involved in so many different things. If you ever get an email from Khalid, it has like dozens of different things that he's been involved with and continues to be involved with. I was you during Masami's conversation. Probably there's some things in this that you're already involved with.
Yep. I'm based here in Orlando, Florida, and I've been here 33 years. In fact, I went to Japan about 38 years ago.
Oh, wow. Wow.
My assignment used to be, I used to handle the Japanese stock market for an international bank based in Dubai. And I thoroughly enjoyed a week in Tokyo. So that's great. But I'm involved in, a lot of nonprofit organizations here in Orlando. And a lot of them have to do with the current social issues that the women are facing. For example, the Harbor House, domestic violence against women, and a number of other initiatives that are to do with helping third world countries in terms of connecting them with the state and Washington level people to take the initiatives forward. So anything that I can help you with, just and I'll connect you with the right people here.
Well, great. Yeah. That's amazing. Thank you, Khalid. I look forward to connecting with you. If you are, happy to connect with me, then perhaps like LinkedIn is the best place. So I don't spend a lot of time in other social media platform, but LinkedIn is the place I enjoy the most. Oh, lucky! Thank you for putting in the link. So anybody who is happy to link up, then please do send me a connection request, and then perhaps mention that you saw me at this event, because sometimes if I don't have any mutual connections, that I might forget to actually accept the connection request. So you could do that.
Where are you based, by the way, Shelly?
the world. Well, actually, until end of last year, I was primarily spending time in Singapore. So for the last 18 years,
Okay.
Singapore was my base. My kids grew up in Singapore, but because both of my children actually kind of left, they're studying and then they're no longer at home. So I decided that this year I'm actually going to be a global nomad and move around the countries, after country. So that's why in America, I spent like already 2.5 weeks now. Next week, I will move to Europe and spend the time in London. And so if you know anybody around the world too, I might be coming. So if you can make introduction and say, hey, meet with Masami, then I'm planning to go to also, London, Dubai. And so if you have connections in any of those countries, including Japan, because I'm now spending a little bit more time in Japan, then I would really appreciate it. I'd like to meet and connect with more people who care about what's happening in the world and want to work together to make a positive difference.
Sure.
Oh, somebody else got the hand up. Samuel.
We need to be quick, Samuel.
Sorry.
Yeah, I just want to express interest in your service and your mandate. I'm somewhere from Hyperx, so I base in Singapore also, and
wow.
my customer base is in Philippines. So we're working with cafes and retail companies that they want to implement a loyalty program. So I have this idea to implement some charity into our services. So I'd like to talk
We
to
should
you.
meet. Yeah,
Yeah.
I will be in Singapore in late June. So I will go around and come back to Singapore in late June. So why don't we actually arrange to meet up? Yeah, so you can message me on LinkedIn, then we can help arrange that. Wow, that's special. I didn't realize that I will end up with many interesting conversations from here. So thank you so much for turning up, because I think turning up to this session makes all of you a special type of people, because you could ignore that totally, right? Like there are other important priorities in your business, but somehow you got curious to come to a session that's called, like Power of Small and making a better world. And so, yeah, thank you for being a unique group of people.
Just before we close, I just want to make one quick introduction. Manabu Sasaki, if you haven't already connected with him, he's with Itochu in New York.
Japanese person. Yes, hello. Konnichiwa.
So I'm not sure if you already connected, but Sasaki-san, you're in New York.
I'm trying to unmute. Pleasure to meet you, Sato-san. And it's very impressive that what you're doing. I just sent from the QR code my contact information.
Okay.
Perhaps we can connect. Itochu does have a sustainability management section. And one of the colleagues works in New York.
Amazing. So I'm in New York today. And yeah, I'm here for just a couple more days before I fly to London. So I will message you anyway, who knows. And then also I'm planning to come back to New York in the beginning of June. So perhaps like either timing, if you are also around, then I'd love to meet you. Or if you think somebody else in your company might be also interested, then that would be great to connect.
Sure. Please send me an email, and maybe if we can try to meet while you're here in New York now, or maybe in June, I'll be happy to introduce my colleagues.
Okay, amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming to this session. Really appreciate it.
Any final words, Masami? Just
yeah, I mean, before coming to America, because we decided to, just keep going. this year to just keep forming connections. There was a moment I felt a little bit uncertain because, at this point of time, there are a lot of uncertainty in the business space. So we thought like, is this the right time to come and then talk about, connect with people and talk about something like philanthropy and impact, but what happened so far has been enormously amazing, that the people everywhere was actually very open and really, really kind, supportive, making introduction that led to more things coming up soon. So I realized that actually we can still have a hope when we have business people who have a good intention and amazing experience and background and connections to come together. So so I want to thank you, Doug, for the opportunity today, and I wish you all great rest of the week, and hopefully I get to connect with you one-on-one or in person as well sometime.
Thank you. And I think we actually scheduled a second event with you coming up sometime in the next month or so. So we look to that.
Yeah, so that's for that session, I will be talking about a little different thing. So because this became pretty much like an introduction of our work and journey, but another topic I will be talking about is slightly different. So if you are interested, then please come and share time with me again. I think that one is scheduled at a different time zone so that it can accommodate a different audience as well.
Different topic, different time. Different day. Thank you so much for sharing all this information. Just really excellent. Have a trip, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day or night or morning ahead.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Jem, for arranging
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you.
And the way you pronounced Rocky's name, it reminded me of the way Japanese speak the word lucky.
Yeah. I used to call her initially Raki, and I thought that was the pronunciation. And Raki said, "Oh, it's Raki." And then I thought, "Oh, it sounds like lucky." Yeah, it's a good fortune and good luck.
Oh, I love that.
Anyway,
you're
yeah.
very to be
See you soon.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Doug.
Thanks for the opportunity. We'll be in touch.
Thank you. Bye.